into the first thing that I want to talk about. So before we get into talking about what custom GPTs are and like how to build them and what the process of building custom GPTs, I want to share with you kind of a foundation, right? Kind of like what AI is. So what is AI? So even saying this out loud when I was putting this slide together, it felt like a very cheesy thing to say. It's like, what is AI? It's like, what is AI today, right? Whatever, but I'll try and not make too much fun of myself. Basically, AI is just, you can think of it as like advanced software, right? So you input your prompt, the AI is then going to scan the knowledge that it has or the data that it's been given to identify patterns to then generate hopefully a useful output based on the question that you've given it. So that might be a little confusing. Doesn't really make a ton of sense to me just yet, but like when I say it out loud, but like in short, you provide the context or the question or the prompt or the data, and you tell it what it is that you want it to do. Then it analyzes the data that you've given it or the data that it's been trained on to identify patterns to hopefully again generate a useful output is the goal. Cool. There was another analogy that I was going to say, but forget it. So what can AI do today, right? So there's a whole list of things, a whole myriad of things that AI is capable of doing, right? It can answer your questions, it can summarize information, write content, analyze the data that's been given. One of my favorite things that just like regular AI or a general LLM can do, if you guys haven't tried this, take this home with you. There's like a voice chat. So if you download ChatGPT or any LLM on your phone, and then you record a voice chat with it while you're sitting next to a whiteboard, and you just like for me last week, I was just kind of, so much was going on in my head that I just needed to work through it, just needed to help something give me some clarity. So I just like walked around my room, paced around for like 8 minutes and was just talking to ChatGPT about the things that I was thinking about. And how are we doing? Hi. Just like an 8-minute voice chat, just dumped that into ChatGPT and I asked it, help provide me some clarity on what my next step should be, identify the blind spots in my thinking, where am I wrong, like what's wrong with it. So not to go too deep in that, but like a brainstorm assistant is super cool. Generating images, and then sort of right now we're kind of in that weird middle ground where a year from now this is probably going to be a bad take, but the voice capabilities of AI is kind of there, right? It hasn't quite crossed that uncanny valley yet, but it's getting there. And then the same thing with video. If you guys have seen like Sora from ChatGPT, but video generation is getting close to there. So it's capable of doing a ton of stuff. I'm sure I left a lot of things off of this list, but what can it not do today, right? So AI is not going to be the founder, the visionary, the creator of new things, really, right? Like not right now, right? You can think of AI as a high-performance vehicle that still needs a highly skilled driver behind it, operating it and putting it in the right direction. Right? It's not going to be able to build the relationships with the important people within your business, with your clients, with the other stakeholders involved in your organization. Like I said, it's not going to be capable of creating that original vision because it's really just using data that it's been given to analyze for patterns to help generate that useful output. So it's not really coming up with any new science or any real brand new ideas. But, if you had full context on everything that's happened before, you're still going to be able to execute pretty well, which whatever. And then it can't execute in the physical world right now, not yet. Right? Like once we get to Optimus, we'll be able to do that. But
or the Terminator.
Yeah, exactly, right? Optimus / Terminator, exactly. Cool. So that's where AI is now, what it can do, what it can't do. But where is AI going? Like, what is AI going to look like in the next year, 2 years, 3 years, right? AI is going to go through an evolution to become much more personalized, right? So right now it's very general. Like there's these general tools that are out there. It's going to become much more personalized to you, your preferences, your needs, the context about you, and then it's going to become much more specialized, right? So the current tools that are out there are capable of doing a ton of things, like I just talked about, but they're kind of a jack of all trades, master of none at the moment, right? And it's really complicated to get it to do what you want it to do, which I'll explain further in a moment, kind of stepping on my own feet there. But it's going to become much more personalized, more specialized, much more user-friendly, because right now it's kind of complicated to get it to do what you want it to do. It's too hard, right? It should be a lot easier, which it will become. It's going to be, and I'm sure you've already seen this, it feels like every single subscription that I have has come out with some new AI functionality. It's like, chill out, guys. Like none of this stuff actually works very well. But like Slack AI, like, Monday AI, like all of these different tools are coming out with their own AI functionality, but that's only going to continue and become more useful. And then this is kind of what we're going to get into. The AI tools that you're going to be using in the future are going to be purpose built for very specific use cases and very specific tasks and very specific reasons. Okay, sweet. So an analogy or a story or example that I like to use to kind of paint this picture of where AI is going to go is using the internet, how the internet evolved as an example of how AI is going to continue to evolve. So in the early days of the internet, I wasn't around during this, so maybe you guys can correct me. But yeah, yeah. So the early days of the internet it was this general vast network that was capable of doing a lot of things, right? If you look at Mosaic there, I wouldn't even know how to approach that, if I'm being honest. So, but from the things that I've heard from other people talking about it, right, it was this revolutionary technology when it first came out that was, everybody understood was going to change the way that the world worked, change the way that businesses operated. But at the moment of it coming out, it was a very niche thing. Like not a lot of people were actually using it. People were aware of it, but not a lot of people were actually using it because it was complicated to navigate, difficult to get it to do what you wanted it to do. The answers or the solutions that you were looking for from the internet were scattered in a bunch of different places that you had to piece together yourself, right? So it was powerful, but it required a lot of time and effort for it to be useful, right? Sound familiar? So then how did the internet evolve, right? So the internet evolved from this generalized network into this purpose-built website and app service, right? So you go to Amazon to buy things, you go to Chrome to do search, you go to YouTube to watch videos, you go to Expedia to book travel, right? You go to all these different websites, these applications for very specific things, right? Like you go to these places to do a specific task or accomplish a specific thing, right? So these tools made the internet super easy to use. You just know, okay, I don't need to learn how to start at Mosaic and then navigate through all these different directories to get what I want. I just go to Amazon to buy something, right? So that was the evolution that the internet went through. So how can we apply that same evolution to AI and what is that going to look like? So the general LLMs that are out there today, whether it's Grok, ChatGPT, Anthropic, Gemini, all these different models, right? Those are the mosaic of AI. Large language model. Yep. It's just a bunch of things stacked on top of each other, whatever. So yeah, LLMs, large language models, these products, these tools that I'm sure you've heard the names of are the mosaic of AI, right? So they are the generalized network that launched that really impressed a lot of people and got everybody talking about AI in a completely different way and understanding that and recognizing, I think we can all agree that AI is going to be a revolutionary technology that changes. It's going to have as equal of an impact as the internet, if not more so. So similar situation there, right? Impressive, versatile, but general and complicated to navigate and get it to do what you want it to do, right? There's that whole skill set. Has anybody here heard of prompt engineering? Prompt engineering? Yeah. So it's like a skill set of being able to ask really good questions or write really good prompts to these AI models to get it to do what you want it to, right? So it's impressive technology, but complicated. I think I beat that point to death. Then how is AI going to evolve, right? So similar to the internet, how it went from general network to purpose-built applications and websites, AI is going to do the same thing. It's going from a generalized large language model, generalized tool, evolving into purpose-built agents, right? So these versions of AI that are built for very specific use cases, very specific tasks. Yeah, and the results, and it's going to be optimized for the preferences and desired outcomes, like of what you want those outputs to look like, how you want them to sound, things of that nature, for you as an individual, right? It's not going to be this general tool built for hundreds of millions of people. You're going to have tools that are built specifically for you, your business, and your team. So the result of that is just going to be these tools are extremely easy to use. Basically that, yeah, extremely easy to use and generate extremely valuable outputs that are aligned with your preferences. Does that make sense? Cool. All right. So what does that mean, right? So why should you care, right? Why does having an understanding of how AI is evolving from this general purpose tool to purpose-built agents for very specific use cases, like why does that matter? Why should you care, right? Well, kind of with anything, it's like that great Wayne Gretzky quote, like if you can skate to where the puck is going, whatever, like skate to where the puck is going, as you said. But understanding where AI is going to go is going to help you start working on building the tools that are going to like make the smarter decisions and build tools that are going to uh, be in line with that kind of transformation, right? So the people that are here today, you guys are way ahead. I've talked to enough people about their understanding of AI to understand that most people really don't know what the future of AI is going to look like, aren't really using it even at all today. But as early adopters in your business category, in your industry, you're going to build a huge advantage because people are just going to be blindsided by this. So maybe blindsided is a strong word, but they're going to be taken by surprise. Like when these tools start coming to market, when people start selling them on it, or when they start building it for their business, or when they see you start offering this as a service, or they see you plug it into your business, they're going to be like, what the hell is that? Like, how did you do that? So as an early adopter of this technology and these tools, you're going to build a huge advantage because number one, you're going to understand them and you're going to understand when these new products come to the market, what they are. And you're going to be able to obviously plug it into your business and reap the rewards that these AI tools are going to bring to the table. Yeah, so a lot of that is just really about getting a head start, being early, team early with these tools and with this technology. And the last point that I'll make here, which is kind of a common turn of phrase that I'm sure you've heard before, right? It's like AI isn't going to be what kills your business. It's going to be, an individual or a business that's using AI better than you that is going to kill your business or take your job, if you will. Cool. And that's exactly why I started this company, Implement AI, right? To help work with business owners to confidently adopt these new tools, this new technology into your business today and help educate those business owners out there to equip you with the information that you need to make the best decisions today and kind of stay ahead of the curve with this technology because it's moving fast and the advantages that you can have are incredible. Cool. So now you know what AI is, what it is not, where it's going, and the advantage that that gives you. I want to get into what custom GPTs are, right? So start talking about what custom GPTs are, and then we'll get into how to build them and everything later on. So before we continue, I need some water. And then who here, if we want to show of hands, who here has used a ChatGPT, a Gemini, Anthropic, any of these tools before? Okay. Who here has used it in the last week? This week so far. It's Tuesday. Yep. Sweet. That's a lot of people. This more. Yeah, exactly, right? Okay. Now, who is the leader? I'd say ChatGPT. ChatGPT for sure. I think they're under a lot of fire because, not to go too deep on this, they were the early leader and everybody's going to try and pick that person off. And then they made some weird decisions. It's just like, whatever. I think ChatGPT is still the best for most things, and they're the only platform that allows you to build custom GPTs on there. But people say that specific models are better at very specific types of tasks. Like some are better at writing, some are better at image generation, some are better at whatever. But I don't know. I don't want to bounce around and use a bunch of different ones. I just kind of use the same one. But okay, and then the last question that I have for you is who here has built a custom GPT before? Do you have anybody that has? Nice. Love it. There we go. Okay, so that means that, what I'm talking about is hopefully pretty new to everybody here and is going to be helpful for you all to take back with yourselves. So introduction to custom GPTs. So what are they? Let's get one more sip of a huge water bottle. Okay, so custom GPTs. Oh, before we continue, look at that. Glad I put that there. Before we continue, I'm going to use custom GPT, GPT, AI agent interchangeably. When I say that, just know I'm talking about the same thing. AI agent, custom GPT, GPT, they're all the same thing. Nobody has really come out and taken a firm stance like this is what we're calling them today. Yeah. No, not general. Pre-trained transformer. Is it general? Generative pre-trained transformer. Yeah, that's what it stands for. I know. Yeah, it doesn't really make sense to me either. But that's just so like a large language model, they just took a bunch of transformers and they realized that, hey, if we stack more and more transformers on this thing, it's going to have an exponential amount of functionality. I don't know. I don't really get into the hardware. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, when they started calling it, exactly. I'm not sure about that one. I don't know. Oh. Well, they used transformers to make the game Minecraft possible. So like a transformer is just like a piece of hardware, and a generative pre-trained transformer, basically they paired the transformer, that piece of hardware, with a bunch of code that tells it exactly, pre-trained exactly. And then the generative piece is basically um, the functionality, like how they want users to experience the experience. Exactly, right? So it's generative, so it's going to generate information following a pre-trained window of context or data using like just transformers. I don't know 100%, but I know transformers were like the critical breakthrough part of the hardware technology where they just kept stacking transformers on top of each other. And then for some reason, there was just a breakthrough in the performance of these things. Like they went from 1,000 transformers stacked into a chip to like 100,000. And then that just made it work way better. I don't really know. But don't get caught up too much in like GPT, like the name. Just know that just you could think of it as like tool, like just any, like the GPT is just like the tool, essentially. Exactly. Yep. Cool. And then I'm going to say the word protocol later on, and that's speaking in reference to this method that I've come up with for building custom GPTs or building these tools. And protocol basically just means a specific task that I've trained this custom GPT to be able to execute. The knowledge base is going to be that training it. Yeah, kind of. Basically, like, and I'll get into it. I'll do a demo later on. And you'll see that when you initiate a protocol, or when you want the GPT to execute a protocol, it's going to follow a very specific step-by-step process, kind of like a formula. That's a good idea. I haven't really thought about it that like that before. Yeah, a little bit. Right. So the knowledge base is going to be the third thing that I'll throw around there. So the knowledge base is just going to be the training files or information that you give to the custom GPT for it to have as context that you want it to reference when it is generating outputs for you. So let's say you want to create a custom GPT that's a business mentor to you that basically is a merge between your three icons, right? You could have like Steve Jobs, John D. Rockefeller, and some third person, right? You could take their three biographies and load it into the knowledge base of the custom GPT and have it reference those things when generating outputs for you. So that's the knowledge base. And when I say ChatGPT, just know that I mean any LLM that's out there. So that could mean Grok, Gemini, Anthropic, etc. It's not agnostic. I'm agnostic to the model, right? Okay, all that makes sense. Sound good so far? Okay. So now what is a custom GPT? So a custom GPT is a purpose-built version of ChatGPT or any large language model. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah.
I started seeing it, I was thinking, search the internet, but you're saying is it really only does the information that I give it. So if I don't tell it the information that I want to use in creating something for me, it's limited then.
So they are trained. So in the first couple of years when ChatGPT came out, it was not capable of searching the internet to find answers for you. It was just basically they launched a version of ChatGPT, let's say this month, so May of 2025. They will have trained it on the entirety of the internet up until December of 2024, basically. So it would know everything that was on the internet up until December of 2024. So the last 5 months, there was kind of like a black hole. Now it's capable of searching the web, but it won't always do it. So you might have to like tell it explicitly in your prompt. That's great, for sure. But like with custom GPTs, we'll kind of get into it a little bit. But like when you build a custom GPT, you could probably attest to this, right? You can give it specific knowledge that it wouldn't have about your business. Cool. So a custom GPT is a purpose-built version of ChatGPT, right? It's the application of AI, like we talked about in that internet evolution example that we talked about, right? These are the websites, these are the apps, these are the tools. The GPTs are the purpose-built versions of that generalized network that we talked about. Like it's the Amazon, it's the YouTube, it's these agents that are built to do very specific tasks aligned with your preferences. So to build them, you pair your instructions with how you want it to behave and what you want it to do with your knowledge base, meaning the context, the information, the files that you want it to reference when generating an answer, and that will generate a custom GPT. It's like a simple little formula there. Cool. So why are they useful? Just like everything I talked about in that internet evolution example, right? It makes it way easier to use. They match your process and your tone, right? Like it's not just going to use like if it's answering a question based on the entirety of the internet versus your very specific, preferential context, like a very specific SOP that you have or a very specific style that you want it to generate from, that version that's purpose built for you is going to be a lot more useful to you as opposed to the general internet. It's going to reduce the amount of time spent on repetitive tasks and prompting, create consistent outputs aligned with your preferences. Like I said, it's not going to forget what you teach it. I'm sure if you've used ChatGPT or any of those LLMs, there's been times where you've told it to like, hey, answer this way, and then 2 days later it starts making the same mistake again. Custom GPTs will not forget that. And something that I gotta shout out my buddy Steve for kind of bringing this up. They scale you and your decision-making frameworks. Basically, you're able to just take your decision-making frameworks or your SOPs that you've built, your offer, your knowledge, your intelligence, kind of bake that into a custom GPT, and now you have like a AI version of you kind of in there that's going to answer the way that you want it to, which is pretty exciting. Adapt. Yep. So yeah, you can do that. And then probably the most straightforward way to do it is just going right into the instructions that you've given it and either adding something that maybe you forgot. Like maybe as you're working with this GPT, you see that it's using a tone that you don't really like, maybe, let's say you're generating content and you're having this custom GPT write video scripts for you, and it's writing video scripts that just don't sound like you. And it sounds a little too LinkedIn-y, let's say. You could say, hey, don't sound so professional, use a more casual tone, something like that. Cool. So I want to get into an example here. So we're going to use an example of a service delivery assistant. So when I'm working with business owners to help build custom GPTs for them, I focus on 3 custom GPTs: the sales assistant GPT, a creative assistant GPT, and a service delivery assistant GPT. So I'm going to take you through an example of how, my hope is that this example will help paint the picture of what a custom GPT is, but it's also going to give you some insight on what the building process should look like. So service delivery assistant example. So we're going to use a content creation agency. So this is the exact same, like for example, my last business, the marketing agency that I exited, and we're just going to use a really simple like offer, right? So let's say a content creation agency, they have a offer where they're responsible for designing the content strategy for a client, creating a content calendar, coming up with video ideas, writing the video scripts, capturing the content, editing the content, publishing the content, and then analyzing the analytics to identify what's working, what's not working, right? So this is just a simple offer for a content creation agency, right? This is our offer. This is what we do for clients. So what you do then is you look at this list and you ask yourself, which of these tasks can ChatGPT help me with? Which of these tasks can ChatGPT help me with, right? So it's these 4, right? It can't help with capturing the content, can't help with editing the content, and it's not going to help with publishing the content. But everything else, ChatGPT can help me with on a repeated process, right? Like every time I want to design a content strategy for a client, ChatGPT can help. Same thing with the rest of these, right? So what we do then is we turn these 4 tasks into protocols of the service delivery assistant for that business. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, yep, I can send it to you, and can you send it out to everybody? Okay, perfect. Sweet. So that would be an example of how you would build, or like what a service delivery assistant would look like for a content creation agency, right? The service delivery assistant helps you deliver your service. What can a GPT help us with? These 4 tasks. So that's what the service delivery assistant is going to be able to do. It's going to be able to, we're going to be able to come to this GPT. It's going to help us design the content strategy for a client. It's going to help us create a content calendar. It's going to help us write video scripts, and it's going to help us analyze the analytics to identify what's working, what's not working, and how we should adjust the strategy accordingly. Does that make sense? Sweet. Okay. Cool. So what I want to do is I want to show you guys what one of these look like. Yeah. So there, I said ChatGPT. ChatGPT cannot edit. There are editing tools out there, like purpose-built, specific tools built to help you edit videos. Those do exist. Yeah.
You mean video, you can't.
Mm-hmm. Right. Okay. Can you guys see ChatGPT here? Perfect. All right. So we're going to go to the creative assistant for my business. And right now I just want to demo maybe like one or two of these protocols just to kind of show you guys what this looks like, right? So we used this creative assistant GPT as that example there. So let's just go through the create content calendar protocol, right? So what I did is I just clicked that conversation starter, which initiated the protocol, which is what I call the protocol trigger phrase. And now it's beginning to take me through the protocol that I've trained it to do. So each of these protocols has their own protocol instructions that tells the GPT, when I say this, go through this process with the user in very simple terms, right? So the step-by-step process for the create content calendar protocol is step one. It's going to confirm the client information with me that it has. So this is the same GPT that we were using for my last company. So what it would do is it would confirm the information that it knows about the client or about me, my business, right? So it looks at it, it's like, okay, so this is what I know about the client. Their target audience is this. The types of content that we create is this. The weekly content framework that we're going to use is this. The primary goals is here. If I had any changes that I wanted to make to that, I could do that. Or if it all looks good, I just say proceed. And then the second step is it's going to generate a 1 week content calendar instead of just going straight to the full month right away. So it's going to do a 1 week draft just to kind of give me a sense of where its head's at. And I can tell it here, like, okay, your hashtags, I want to focus on these hashtags, or I want to focus on this kind of themes in my content for this month, for this client, or for my business, right? So just instead of going from initial client review to 1 month of content, and then now I have to give it feedback on a 1 month content calendar, I just broke it down into, all right, let's do 1 week first, and I can kind of feel out where it's at, and then give it some feedback. But if it all looks good, I just say proceed again. And if you guys can imagine, for everybody here who's used ChatGPT before, if you wanted it to generate this, the amount of how big your prompt would have to be, and like, it'd be crazy, right? What did we say? We said a total of like 8 words, and then we have a 1 month content calendar generated for our business that's completely aligned with, who my target audience is, the exact preferences that I have for my content, complete with captions, hashtags, ideas, the date that it's going to be posted, all that stuff. So a 1 month content calendar generated in like 8 words, right? And that's just the one example there. Do you guys want to see another example? You guys can. So this one is for my business, but yeah, like I'm gonna give you guys something at the end of this. It's gonna you guys can do. So not so much selling prompts, because basically like this is prompt engineering on steroids. The new business is just kind of teaching you guys how to, or doing this for you, which is like building custom GPTs. So this is like what the builder view looks like back here, and I can show you what the creative assistant GPT looks like. GPT model to use. You have that drop down with the option. Yeah. So right now, CustomGPTs, so right now, ChatGPT is still, after a year and a half, still the only LLM that allows you to build your own custom GPT on their platform. There are other platforms like Chip, CHIPP.ai, that allows you to, basically they copied this exact same builder view, right? If for lack of a better term. So they copied ChatGPT's builder view. So basically you go into Chip and you build a custom GPT the exact same way that ChatGPT lets you. And then Chip allows you to power the GPT that you build with other models, but it doesn't work nearly as well. Because it's like a third-party tool, it doesn't work nearly as well as the GPTs here on ChatGPT. I will say too, you do need to have ChatGPT Pro in order to be able to build custom GPTs, the $20 a month version, not the $200 a month version. So I highly recommend it. It's a free ad. Call me Sam Altman. But yeah, so this is what it looks like kind of in the back end. I really didn't plan on getting into this, but you asked if the new business is selling prompts. So not so much. Like a lot of people are doing that now, and I'm kind of like trying to fight against that, because it's like if you're saving a prompt, if you like have a prompt saved, or you have like a prompt library saved, that's a clear indication that you should just build one of these custom GPTs for that very specific reason, because there is so much more that you can pile into this custom GPT as far as context and training and instructions than you ever could in like one prompt. Like just to show you, like this is all the knowledge files here for this creative assistant GPT. So there's 9 files that I have loaded in here. And then I have all of these protocol instructions that I've given to the GPT for like, this is how I want you to behave. This is your purpose. This is what I don't want you to do. Then the protocol triggers, when I say this, I want you to reference this file and take me through the step-by-step process and protocol guidelines there, right? So we'll get into that of like how to build your own custom GPT in a minute. So to answer your question, I'd say no. That's like selling prompt templates is definitely not, at least what I'm doing. People are doing that and people are making money doing that. But like, I just think this is a way more useful thing than in any one saved prompt, because this is so dynamic. Like I can use this, like this doesn't lose any functionality of regular ChatGPT. It's just like if I asked it like, introduce yourself to a workshop I am hosting in Mesa. Like it's gonna know, it's gonna carry all the training context. I don't know what this is gonna say, but welcome, thank you for being here today. Whatever. So it's gonna carry all the training context and everything that I've taught it and instructions I've given it with every prompt that I give it. So you don't have to. Love it. There we go. Yeah, maybe I just scripted this out. Yeah, there we go. So this tool is more of like a system, and it's just like your own agent instead of just like one prompt. Like it's going to be a lot more useful than just a saved prompt, because you're going to be able to come to this and ask it to do other stuff too. Okay. Does that kind of give you a better idea with the Creative Assistant GPT demo there? Okay. Yeah.
How long does that take?
Build out.
You have a skeleton and you flush things out and probably
Yeah. So how long does it take to build one? So I've been doing this a lot for the last like 2 years. So I've gotten pretty quick, and I have a little bonus tool that I'm going to share with you guys later on. I don't want to spoil it, but I'll get back to you on that later on. Cool. So we'll get into like how to build it and what that looks like in a second. But just to kind of show you, so I showed you the Creative Assistant GPT. That's something that we built for all of our clients for that marketing agency that I scaled up, Rockrose Productions. Shout out Rockrose. And just because I got a lot of feedback from that thing, it's like, okay, well, how good are the content ideas? How good is the content that it's actually generating for you, right? So we used this Creative Assistant GPT for one of our clients. We use it for all of our clients. This is, a good example. So when they started with us, they were getting 24,000 views on social media a month, reaching 18,000 people, and they had 3,400 followers. After 6 months of working with us and us using, like literally we would just, for the most part, like we would design the strategy, we would train the GPT on that strategy, and then it would come up with ideas. Maybe we'd tweak the ideas a little bit, but in using that as a companion tool with us, we took them from 25,000 views a month to over 1.2 million views per month, and like how many followers? Like 13,000 plus followers in like 6 months in using this thing. So the ideas and the strategy that it's trained to help you execute is impactful. Okay, so we talked about what AI is, kind of did a basic introduction of custom GPTs. Now I want to equip you guys with that lens to be able to look at your business and your workflows to help you identify use cases for custom GPTs in your business. Okay, so I've kind of developed this framework or this kind of decision tree, if you will, it's improving over time. It's improving as we go. This decision tree that you can kind of walk through. You look at a task, or you look at a thing that you're working on, and you ask yourself these questions. So the first question, is this a task that you do regularly and repeatedly? If not, it's not a good fit for a custom GPT. It's more of a good fit for maybe like a one-off prompt kind of thing or a project within ChatGPT. If it's like one big project that you're only going to do one time, you don't need a custom GPT for that. And then the next question you're going to ask is, does this task involve language, right? Is there some kind of text involved? Is there a transcript that I can use? Is it an email? Right? Does it involve any kind of language that I'm going to be able to, give to the GPT for it to get context on the situation and be able to help me move that task forward? I'm trying to think of like what tasks don't really involve language. And I was thinking about that before. I was like, what tasks don't really involve language? And I'm not sure. Maybe like art, maybe like manufacturing, like physical labor, that kind of stuff. That doesn't really involve language. Okay, so if you said yes to those first two, the next question you're going to ask is, does this task involve, like, does completing this task, do I follow a similar process every single time I complete this task? Do I have, logic or a specific like skill or experience in kind of completing this task? Like, am I referencing a process, like a consistent process in completing this task, or logic to make the decisions within this task? If yes, we'll continue. If no, it's a viable thing that we can build a GPT for, but I wouldn't say it's a high priority. The last question we're going to ask is this task time consuming or a current bottleneck within my workflow or the workflow of our team? If you say yes to all four of those, this is something that you do regularly and repeatedly. It involves language. You have a process for how you would like to complete it, and it's time consuming or a bottleneck. That is a high priority GPT that you can build and plug into your business, and it'll have an immediate huge impact on the efficiency of your team, the amount of time you're taking, and the quality and consistency of your outputs. So for us, right, that was creating a content calendar for our clients. That was something that took fucking forever, like prior to having these things, right? It was something we did every single month for a client. It involved language, right? It was just input, like here's the thing about the client, and then just writing out the idea, writing out the script. So it involved language. There was a consistent process that we followed, right? It's just like, okay, we're going to start with the target audience. What are their pain points? What are the content pillars that we're referencing, right? Followed that consistent process, and it absolutely was a time-consuming and a bottleneck thing for our agency. So that was a high priority thing that we wanted to turn into a protocol of a custom GPT, and we did that. And it's the same thing with all those protocols that we had for every GPT that we've built. Does that make sense? That framework? Okay, cool, sweet. On top of that, just some questions that I typically throw out there to the people that I'm talking about of like what custom GPT, to help try and diagnose what custom GPTs we could build for their business or their job. First thing is like, what are you consistently using ChatGPT for right now? Like, is there something that you are using ChatGPT for every single day? If you're consistently going to ChatGPT to do this task, that's another clear sign that you should have a custom GPT built to help you with that specific task. You don't have to come in and preload all your context every single time. Second thing, what are the tasks that you do repeatedly and done more or less the same way every single time? Like, what are the tasks that you do consistently following the same process every time? Are there any documents you wish you had a first draft generator for? What would I love to delegate if I had the right help? And the last one, do I have any saved prompts that I use often, right? If you have a saved prompt, that's a clear sign that like, okay, we can build custom GPT that can do that way better. So in summary, this is something that I kind of, in that brainstorming session that I talked about last week with ChatGPT, I helped kind of synthesize what are custom GPTs really good at. They're really good at helping you automate high friction, high frequency knowledge work. So that's kind of what they're good at. I just threw that slide in there. So now what I want to do is I want you all to take like a minute or two, and I'm going to go back to probably this question slide. And I want you guys to think about like one task or a couple of tasks in your current business or your job that you do. You go to ChatGPT for help for often. And then I'll ask some questions, and I'll try and like do a live blueprint with somebody here to get to understand their business and whatnot. Cool. What I want to get through, kind of last thing here. I know it's 1 p.m. Really appreciate your time. Again, I'll kind of zip through this. Want to get you guys out of here. So the protocol method, this is the process of building custom GPTs that I've developed over the last year and a half, 2 years, like year and a half since custom GPTs came out. And this is the process that I came up with after beating my head against a wall for 6 months trying to build custom GPTs that didn't work, but then finally had a couple of breakthroughs that led to this framework for building useful custom GPTs. So what is the protocol method? So like I said, it's a framework for building useful custom GPTs that are going to be trained to perform specific roles, do very specific tasks, following a specific step-by-step process that you've given it. So each protocol, like I said earlier, each protocol represents a specific task that you tell the custom GPT to do. Then once you initiate that protocol, it's going to go through a step-by-step process to, in the end, generate the final output. Right? So like we talked about earlier, the create content calendar protocol of the creative assistant GPT. You initiate create content calendar protocol, walks through 3 steps, and you have the final output of a 1-month content calendar. Right? So like I said, every protocol comes with its own set of unique instructions that is basically just telling the custom GPT how you want it to behave. Right? The instructions are complete with 2 sections, which we'll get into in a second, the protocol guidelines, and then the step-by-step process instructions. So that's the protocol method. Does that kind of make sense? Basically, it's just a framework for building custom GPTs. It's going to make them useful. That kind of makes sense? Cool. Okay, so the building process of how you build a custom GPT following this method. So first, you're going to create what I call a blueprint. So you're going to create a blueprint for the custom GPT. This is basically just brain dumping your ideas on paper. It's just what is the purpose of this custom GPT? Why does it exist? What is it going to help me do? And then the blueprint, that's the purpose section. And then you're going to blueprint and plan out the specific tasks that you want this custom GPT to help you do, right? So like we did in that earlier example with you list out the 7 tasks that you have and you identify the 4 that it's going to help you with. That's the same thing. So you list out the purpose of the GPT, and then you go through each protocol that GPT is going to be trained on. What is the purpose of this task? What's the final output going to be for each task? I probably should have had like a picture of what a blueprint looks like, but it's literally just like a brain dump of here's the purpose, here are the tasks it's going to help me do. Cool. And then once you have that blueprint completed, you kind of have your thoughts organized on what the final version of this GPT is going to look like. Then you go through and write the instructions for each protocol. So that's going to be the protocol guidelines for each protocol and the step-by-step instructions for each protocol. So like when we did the create content calendar protocol, right, there was step 1, step 2, step 3. Every part of that experience was like written instructions. Like there's a message template for each step. There's a specific numbered list of actions that I want the GPT to take within that step. So you go through, this is the most time-consuming part, is writing the protocol instructions for each step. It's like the coding in natural language for these GPTs. Once you have those protocol instructions completed, you can celebrate for a moment because everything's super easy from here. You just write the configure instructions, which is just the overarching behavior for the GPT. So that was like that first window that I showed you in there with the purpose, ideal behavior, behavior to avoid protocol triggers. You write that. Then you got the building and customization, which is just the name of the GPT, profile photo, short description that communicates what it does. And then the final step, you get that thing launched, you test it out, and you refine it and improve it over time. So if you remember from earlier when we were talking about identifying use cases for custom GPTs, I talked about, okay, is this a task you do regularly? Is this a task that follows or involves language? Is this a task that is like follows a specific step-by-step process every single time? And is this something that's time-consuming and a bottleneck in your business? So if all that sounds familiar and looks kind of familiar right here, I ended up building a GPT that's going to help you build custom GPTs following the same protocol method that I use, and I'm going to share that with all of you today. So in summary, we talked about how AI is going through this evolution of general assistance, kind of a general tool that's capable of doing a lot of things, but complicated to get it to do anything really well, into this place where there's going to be purpose-built agents for very specific reasons that are going to help you do very specific tasks aligned with your personal preferences and your personal situation. So we're going through that evolution right now. And then we talked about a framework that you can use to identify use cases within your business for custom GPTs. And then what we're going to talk about here now, and I kind of talked about the protocol method pretty quickly there. And I'm going to equip you with the tools that you need in order to. So you have this understanding and you know why it's important to start building these custom GPTs. You have a lens that you can identify use cases for the custom GPTs you should build. And then this protocol method is the framework that you can use to build useful custom GPTs. So you have what you need now. Now it's time to take some action. But to help you do that, I want to give some bonus content away. So these are QR codes that are going to help you just scan. So the first thing is like that idea there of the identifying use cases in your business. So I just built this PDF guide that's going to explain to you clearly. Like I think every business needs these 3 GPTs. These should be the first 3 GPTs that you build in your business. So yeah, it's just like a quick start guide to give you some ideas, like the first 3 ideas for the GPTs that you should build. Give everybody a second here to scan this. And again, I'll get this to the team here and make sure that everybody here receives these slides as well. Cool. Good to go. Yeah. Cool. Okay, next one here. I'll leave this up for a minute. This is going to be the link to the CustomGPT Builder. So this is going to be the GPT that helps you build custom GPTs following that same protocol method that I shared with you. So it's going to help take you through the blueprinting process, help write the protocol instructions for each protocol that you want to train that GPT on, write the configure instructions, and then get everything set up and launched. I think what I'll do is, I haven't recorded this video yet, but I'll record a video where I just go through like start to finish the process of building a custom GPT, and I'll make sure that you all get set up with that too, because so you're not just like left on your own kind of figure out what the hell you got to do. Cool. Everybody good here? All right. Then the last thing here, if you want to just book a meeting with me, don't feel like you have to, but if you want to book a one-on-one conversation with me where we can, talk about your business and I can help you build out the blueprints for those first 3 GPTs that you want to build, we can do that together. Cool. Yeah. Cool. Thank you all for your time today. I really appreciate it. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Cool. Any questions or anything? I'll hang out for a while. Happy to